faster than I thought. Thank you everyone for coming and taking advice for everybody's time and taking into consideration. We'll get started right away here. So we kind of set it up a little differently this way. We'll see if this format works a little bit to help us get through a lot of topics that we have for tonight. So I'm going to skip through this because I think everybody's seen the purpose of this, and if you don't know it by now, let me know. I'll send you the slide. So our meeting, we've got the call to order, which we've just done. We're going to approve the minutes from the January 2nd meeting. Then we've got 1-minute updates. So we've got a lot of little topics that we're going to cover in a very quick period of time. There'll be time for a little bit of discussion on some of these, but we're going to try to go through them. And then we've got a few deep dive topics to cover tonight. So with that being said, we've got our meeting minutes from January 2nd. We posted them online on the Facebook page. I'd like to call for a vote to approve. Anybody in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting?
Aye.
Mrs. Mance, anyone opposed? No, okay, great, passed, done. All right, 1-minute updates, so we're gonna kind of go quick. There's some people around here that might be covering some of this, so I might, point over to you guys when it's your turn. So quite a few updates, but we're gonna start with the treasurer's report. So Melissa, you wanna walk us through this quickly?
Our beginning balance of our meeting in January was $15,062.86. Our balance as of yesterday was $13,618.14. We had $77.50 come in and $1,522.22 going out. Some breakdowns of that are the $128.22 for the Valentine's Day treat for the kids.
In the corner?
And we had $13.80 in teacher grants, which included the Battle of the Books and then the Seesaw subscription for the 3rd graders. And as of yesterday, the online gift card program brought in $11.50. I'm not sure, can't figure out when those are automatically coming through and whatnot, but that's what's showed up so far.
I'll cover that when we get to that slide. All right, thank you, Melissa. All right, exciting news. We now have a phone number. Woohoo! It's a Google Voice number. This 224-788-0713 is available for voice or text. It basically just goes to our Petty Bobcat Boosters Gmail account, but it will ring my cell phone as well. So if I recognize the number, I'll pick it up. If not, I'll follow up in a message. But we have that we can use when we're talking with people, whatnot. The office here has it, so if they get annoying calls from Domino's fundraising, they can let us know. So, and give them our number instead, so that hopefully they won't pester them. So that's new and exciting. Hope that was under a minute. We also have an Instagram account. We're at Petty at Bobcat Booster, so if you're on Instagram and you prefer to digest it that way, go ahead. I know that there's some students on there as well.
It's mostly students.
Yeah. So, but that's fun for them to let them keep engaged and everything else. So we're trying to keep that out there as well. Stay ahead of the times. All right. GuideStar. GuideStar is a nonprofit organization that helps nonprofits go out there and help them be accredited for fundraising activities. This was a necessity for Amazon Smile and to take donations over Facebook. So I've set us up in there, and we're currently at a bronze level, which is kind of the base. Well, it's, I guess, a step up from basic, but we need some more information from some of our annual reports and things like that, which we don't have yet. So as we get that information, we'll go in there and we'll get up to silver, we'll get up to gold, and who knows, maybe someday we'll be platinum. So, but that's all done and set up, which is great news. So, moving on, we've got some fundraisers coming up. If you haven't seen, we've got 2 Antioch Pizza fundraiser dates. One is for this next Tuesday, February 19th, and we have another one also scheduled for Monday, April 29th. Super easy to set this stuff up with Antioch Pizza. They were fantastic. They gave us the flyer, everything that's gone home. They're all-day events, so feel free to splurge and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Antioch Pizza. I know I'm picking up pizzas for the office for lunch on Tuesday and going to bring them into the office that day.
They do par-bake pizzas there, so you can order it the night before and then finish cooking it for breakfast
that's a good
or whatever
one.
they do. Yeah, I get the breakfast
Pretty
pizza
awesome.
par-baked because they stopped serving them early, and I am not a morning
Yeah.
person.
So just mention Petty Bobcat Boosters when you place your order. 15% of every order goes to us, so that's nice. So that'll be great. So spread the word on that one. We've been posting it on the different channels. It'll be great to get word of that out.
We usually do like a lunch order. We should do that and have it where staff, if they want to order lunch, and we can then deliver.
Our next Tuesday is the board meeting, so you're all welcome to.
Yeah.
There you go. You can
If it's
open
an
any
Antioch pizza,
pizza.
go to the board meeting.
Mhm.
That's why I chose that date.
Come to the board meeting.
So, all right, so that's the Antioch Pizza fundraisers. Culver Scoopy Night, we've got one scheduled for Monday, March 11th. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. I know that there's been some discussion about the timing on that one. Culver's no longer accepts reservations before 5 p.m. for that one, even though their paperwork says it. If you notice, every other organization that has one now, it's 5 p.m. only. So we need 12 volunteers, 4 for each hour. We've asked staff to volunteer, as that's a highlight for the students. To date, we've got 3 volunteers. 10% of our proceeds go back to us, which is fantastic. So we can talk about this a little bit more in the volunteering section as we move on. But that's what's going on with Culver's Scoopy Night. That one took a little bit long, took a couple weeks to set that up. Honestly, it's all pretty much on their end. Scripps gift cards, which Melissa made reference to. We have that going. We've launched that. Hopefully everyone's gotten their flyer home on that one. Anywhere between 2 and 18% goes back to us, which is great. Physical gift card orders cost us $8.50 in shipping. That's the lowest cost on that one. So we're trying to consolidate that and place an order for those on the 15th of every month. So that way we can kind of do that. And I've advertised it as such. If we find that the volume is far outpacing that, we can always, ramp it up and do it a little bit more often. The e-gift cards and the gift card reloads that you do, those are instantaneous, which is fantastic unless you don't pay Presto Pay. We want to encourage Presto Pay, which is basically setting up, allowing them to take it, not direct deposit, but direct debit your account to pay for it. And so that kind of eliminates us out of the payment cycle, which speeds things up. Otherwise, if we have a check, we've got to collect the check from the person, deposit it, and then put it through there. So right now I'm administering that. We'll see profits going through. I know right now we've got an order for quite a bit in there, so we'll see a nice little chunk of change coming back in, maybe $20, $30, something like that. But hopefully we'll be able to ramp that up and go from there. So there's a lot of great stuff. Just to give an example, if people hadn't seen it, we're going to Wildfire on Saturday for our Valentine's date, and I thought, hey, let's see if they've got a gift card for us. They did, and we got 12% back. So $12 earned right there for the $100 that we're going to be paying for dinner. You might as well use it. So it's great, and that was an e-gift card, so I didn't have to wait for it.
It's instant,
So,
yeah.
Instant. It's pretty awesome. So check it out. Pretty cool stuff. Domino's Pizza Card fundraiser. This was one that's been hounding the school for months and months and months, and now hounding me, even though I said I'm not going to be able to tell you anything till after this meeting, and they call and text and email every day. So basically what it is selling discount cards. Buy a large pizza, get a large pizza. The focus on this they have is really getting the kids to sell it, and almost kind of like a jump rope of hearts. So there's prize levels at the different levels that you can do. You can earn gift cards for that as well. The teachers can earn some of the cards if they have enough students participate. The Boosters organization gets $5 from each gift card sold for it. And so simply, I would like to present it out there and say, is anyone interested in this? If you're in favor of this, raise your hand.
You know Hillcrest already did it this year.
Okay.
They did do it.
I just remember, I know
We already got one.
we had one.
Yeah.
I just remember where we got that one penny in the book.
Okay.
Buy the card. What is the
It's
value?
you buy just a discount card.
It was
you
$10,
still-
I
Yeah,
think.
when you
Okay.
get a large
Mhm.
pizza, you get a large pizza free.
And so if you buy 10 large
Every
pizzas, you
time
get
you
10
do
large
it.
pizzas free.
Oh, so you don't really pay, but you pay $10 for the card.
For
Pay
the card.
$10 for the
Okay,
card.
and then
Use
it's like
it
a
once and
coupon
it pays
thing
for
you use.
itself.
It's like a perpetual
Okay.
gift card that lasts a year.
And however many you order, you get that many free. But it's the large full price pizza, so it's not like your usual like $7.99.
We only get Domino's pizza when we go out. We get pizza for the kids, and they love it. Domino's pizza.
Yeah.
I thought it would be kind of interesting, like if we had it, so like if we buy pizzas for like the 5th grade picnic or something like that we could take advantage of that.
Yeah,
But
right.
at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to run a program just so I can get a card. You know what I mean? So my big thing is, do we want to engage the kids to go out there and do this door to door? Because that's really the way that you make the money, and I don't know about that. The other thing is we're into the school, or we're into the calendar year already. So if we
Oh, it's for,
it's only for the calendar year, so it's actually going to be an abbreviated year. It might be something, maybe it's better for the following year. I don't know. It's an option out there, but we got a lot of options going right now too. So.
Well, then maybe if that's the case, we should wait since it's already halfway through the year.
And table it maybe for next year.
And then I know, like with Jump Rope for Heart, Mr. Amster encourages the students not to do door by door, but sell.
Well,
to,
they're safe things, and they come out, they send
Okay,
packages and do all that kind of
Okay.
stuff. But still, at the end of the day, it's still
Yeah.
we're sending the kids out
And
to
we
sell
just-
cards to the
Sure.
people that they know, you know,
Right.
and that's what I meant by the door to door.
Has
Yeah.
it been successful at Hillcrest? Do you know, or you just?
I don't know, I
leave it
just bought one
here?
because I
Yeah.
brought it home and she said,
I
please
guess-
not buy the pizza thing.
Well, maybe we could
There's
ask
10 bucks.
you and see what
All right.
Hillcrest thinks.
So is the consensus? Let's table this, get more information, and consider it for a future date. All right, great. I'll tell him that, and he can continue to email me and call me every day for the next 6 months. All right.
It's a really good deal to
Yeah.
use it once a week.
Right.
Right.
All right. So as of last night, we are now officially on Amazon Smile. So we're registered. So please go on there, choose us as your donation. I know that could be to the chagrin of some of the other organizations around here, but I've been purchasing multiple things today and for work through it, so we get 0.5%. I know that doesn't add up to a lot, but hopefully over time we can do that, and it's some extra money that we can do some things with. And I guess if we're going to be spending things, my thought is anything that we as a group are buying through Amazon as well, let's make sure we do it through Smile, so at least we're getting some of that back.
So is that like
So.
anything you buy on Amazon?
Anything you buy on Amazon, as
Right.
long as you go
That's
through
cool.
smile@amazon.com and select Petty as your charity.
My birthday's coming up.
All right,
An
there we
80s
go.
theme. I've got like $200 in my Amazon shopping cart right now.
Caitlin's birthday, there you go.
There you go.
So, yeah, please do that. I know that we've done that in the past with our holiday shopping, and I use it at work all the time, so if I have to buy Echoes for giveaways or whatever, I push it through there. So I always think of ways, if you're buying something on Amazon, consider us for that. If you have questions about it, let us know. I'll create a flyer maybe that goes home to all the families to mention that as well. But that's fairly new because the GuideStar the IRS finally caught up, and we've got that set up. All right, music concerts. I've got the approval to hold 50-50 raffles, kind of similar to what band and orchestra boosters do at their concerts, at our music concerts. We were going to have one for the 3rd grade concert, but I had to cancel because we didn't have any volunteers to help me sell tickets. So our next opportunity is for the 2nd grade concert, which is coming up right before spring break. I think it's March 21st. Don't quote me on that date, but we've got a sign up out there. So if you're interested in that, that would be fantastic. It doesn't take a ton of effort at the concert, but it takes a few people to get it going. So that would be a great way to get some funds. I think we talked about that last time.
I noticed at the band concert, they had like older kids doing it. I wonder if they could use it for their volunteer
They do,
hours.
yeah, they can.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe we could even spin it that way. Maybe more
Mhm.
people might be like, oh, my kid needs their whatever hours. Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
they typically do pretty well with those 50-50
I know.
raffles.
Yeah, they did well at the band one when we went to
Yeah.
it.
I think the pot was something like.
Like 100 something.
Yeah, and
I've even
sometimes
seen
they're
it up
nice
to like
enough.
200, and then
Yeah.
sometimes the people
donate
say,
back, yeah.
you know what, just keep it,
Yeah.
and can go from there. So
Right.
I'd like to take advantage of it. I know we're halfway through the year already, and
There's only one
There's
there's
concert.
only one more left, but it's worth a shot. See how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So some updates. I met with Dr. Marino and the other booster presidents not too long ago, trying to get everybody together, talk about communication amongst the groups, try to have some coordination. There was a lot of questions about some of the district policy about food and events and how that works. So we were trying to work through all of that. The great news with all that, I won't go into all the details of it, is that the groups are all committed to working together as much as we can, with the caveat that the boosters are independent from the district. That's got to be an important thing, that we're not tied together too much, because of legal reasons. But I'm going to go into some more detail about the food at the events, but it's good communication. We've got it as of today, Dr. Marino has like an email list set up to communicate to all the presidents moving forward through our Gmail accounts, and so information can kind of go back and forth, and we've created an open dialogue there, which is fantastic. On that, district food policy. This is the kind of the way it goes, and this is kind of the driver of what brought all that together, because there was confusion amongst the buildings and the district and the groups, and I think just everybody in general. But this is the way it has been distilled down. If we're having an event and we want to have food at it, if only students from our school are attending, then we follow the building allergy guidelines, so whatever that is. However, if we're having an event and there are students from other schools there, we need to follow the district food policy guidelines. Okay, and I'll go into that on the next slide. We are working on a release of liability with the district. I provided one to Dr. Marino. He sent it over to the legal counsel. They're reviewing it, and basically what that does is that gives them a release saying we are assuming responsibility as the boosters organization, clearing the district, all the representatives of it, saying that we'll take aim on that. We've also agreed that we will advertise the options to the food, so on the flyer we'll list out the options so we don't have parents coming saying, well, I didn't know that they was going to have this or whatever. We're spelling that out. We also might want to consider having a waiver to cover us, like a permission slip type thing, for people saying, hey, I released that. And maybe even what we do is we sell tickets to these kind of events, and on the back it's kind of like Ticketmaster, and has saying, by accepting this ticket and claiming this ticket, you waive your, you hold this, not legally liable and whatever. So those are all things that are in the works, which I think are good solutions to this problem that we had. And it was such a problem that it was kind of a stalemate. That's why I wanted to bring everybody together to do that. So, and you'll see why, especially this was a problem when I go to the next slide, which lists the district approved allergy safe foods. These are it. So at one point in time, it was told that if there was kids from outside of our school, these were the only foods we could have. So, however, this is what it is. So if there are kids from outside of our school, we follow our regular policy, but as long as we have alternatives from this list, we are covered. So, for instance, when we were having donuts or pastries with
for
parents,
yeah.
there's a lot of allergy stuff in there that could have been a problem. But as long as we have fresh fruits, we have an alternative that they can get from this list, we are okay. So that's kind of how we go.
Kids from other schools,
What's that?
and we can accept kids from other schools with that?
Yep.
Well, that's, I mean.
Well, this I
Did
think
you meet
kinda
with
what-
just Dr. Marino?
What's that?
Did you meet with just Dr. Marino?
Dr. Marino and the booster presidents. I have email threads if you want them. But
Well,
that
it's
that
like-
is that is
If
what's
I
been
bring
agreed to.
Scarlet, that technically counts as children from outside of
True.
Petty.
Well,
Not.
it's from technically if they're from another school. But we
Yeah.
how do we know what school they go
I
to
think
or
this
whatnot?
kind of was when we used to do that Halloween Boo Bash.
Yep.
Because it got to the point where I remember I used to do all the,
That was insane.
it was insane. And I used to mark the bottoms with Sharpies of the, they were blow pops or something. But then all of a sudden, we couldn't have, or we had to switch it to blow pops before it was something else.
Mhm.
And I marked like all these, like I sit there at night marking. And then they were like, oh, we can't use whatever it was,
Mhm.
Tootsie Pops,
Right.
because they weren't allergy safe.
Right.
And they had to switch them all to blow
They could have been
pops,
created in
something
a
like that.
facility that processes
Yeah,
whatever,
processes
things
nuts or
like that.
whatever.
So what we
That's, I think, kind of why the foods that are on there are like that, and the whole thing, because we have people that would come from different school
Mhm.
districts.
So I've asked
kind
if
of
they
what I
could
think.
review this list and
Yeah.
see if there's things they can add to it.
Right.
There hasn't been any budge on that yet. I was told that they would consider it, but I think the legal counsel said, no, this is it. However, we opened it up to those other things. The other advisement that we had is that when we have things like this, we make sure that at the event, we have a list of the ingredients and like the nutrition information, that we have it available so if somebody challenges us, we can say, hey, look, here's the information, and kind of go from there. So the good news is not dead in the water. Bad news, there's a little bit of restrictions, but not as bad as we thought. So that's good as well.
Got skills and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
When I first saw this list, I'm like, how can we not have like
Muffins.
muffins, but we can have Sour Patch Kids and soda, you know? So,
But there's certain brands.
yes, and they
Yeah.
are specific
Yeah.
to these. It has to be these brands. It has to be these flavors. It has to be
Right.
those things.
Like
So,
there used to be like a double bubble gum, but then there was one that sounded very similar, and we had the wrong one.
yeah.
And so I
Can't do
noticed
that.
it's not on there.
No.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
So, so that's out there. I've got this information. We have it here as a record of it. So as we move on, we have options. The good news is we can operate and do things. So I'm not going to dwell on that. If you have more questions on this, please let me know. I'm happy to share the information, but it's good stuff, really. Not that list.
Yeah.
All right. So last month we talked about a request for a guest speaker, and there was a specific guest speaker that they were looking for. I've since met with Mrs. Halterman, and Mrs. Earl was happy to step in on there, and we talked a little bit more about some of that. I know to cover kind of the original ask, there were Title I funds from the school that were being used. They didn't get the exact same speaker, but they have something along that line. But out of that
The other one
conversation,
wasn't available. It wasn't even.
they were booked for like 3 years or something like that. Yeah. So obviously they were worth the price, I guess. However, out of that though came a request, or maybe not a request, but a want, thinking it was a good idea. If maybe the booster, as part of their spirit initiatives, look at maybe something a little more fun or a little bit more interactive, and have a second assembly that we could do. So there were some options that we kind of were trading back and forth when we were looking at other options to try to maybe bring the cost down a little bit into the $1,000 to $1,500 range. I think Caitlin found one that she forwarded me the other day that I haven't looked at. That was a science one. I've seen ones that are like a game show type thing where you break up into teams and they'll do things, and that fits into our range, which is kind of fun, something a little more interactive and whatnot. So there's a few different options there. And so they've asked if maybe we would consider one for maybe the April timeframe where they have a lot of testing going on. It might be a nice break for the students. So if that's something that the group wants to go, we're looking for help in researching some of these people, finding one, and then kind of coordinating it to go out there. But we can talk about whether we want to approve this when we get to the budget conversation a little bit later. So I'm going to keep it short, and we can come back to it. The request for the STEM robots, we talked about it last time. There was the request through the D34 Education Foundation. I'm not sure if they've raised any more funds on this, but I want to just kind of bring it up. Let's vote on it, and let's call it yay or nay and move on. I don't want to dwell on it too much longer and go from there. We can always consider it at a later time if they want to put in a new request. But based off of what we heard, the cost was for $1,400 for another kit. Let's call it to a vote. All in favor of approving the funds for the STEM robots? Raise your hand.
I
Okay.
approve. Can I say why I approve?
Sure.
I talked with our art teacher, Cheryl
Mhm.
Jarrett, and told her, oh, I was at the meeting, and she was talking to me how, with a STEAM,
Mm-hmm.
how they can coordinate, she can work with STEM, and how they can work together with coding, and then she can do art with it, and how, depending on what she has the students do, because I know that was a conversation that came up, she wished, like, I think she gave me some information, I forwarded it along to one of you guys.
Mhm.
But she said that, because we had said, would it be appropriate for younger kids, and she said there's different things that they could do at different ages, so it wouldn't be like all just set, like, they all just do this activity. So the activity could range depending on the age of the children. And I guess, I don't remember, this was like over a month ago
Sure.
we had this conversation, but, so I kinda got a little more information after talking with her about it, so that's why I'm voting for it. So,
Okay.
'cause it works with the art and with the STEM part of it
Sure.
too.
Any other votes?
Thing to consider really quick is they, Mr. Van den Bosch and Ms. Jarrett, STEM and Art, are going to a PD on this on Friday.
Mhm.
And maybe something worth waiting on to see what they learn and,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
All right. Let me throw this out there then. How about if we vote on this specific proposal with the notion that, because I believe that one thing that I think Melissa Smith had said was these would be kits that would be shared. If we didn't have one individually
Yeah,
for the
she
schools,
mentioned
if we
that
did
at the
that,
last meeting.
maybe we say no to this, but if Mrs. Jarrett wants to put in another request specific for this building, we can fulfill that ourselves at a later time after the PD. So let's put that up to vote. All in favor for that plan of action towards us saying no to this, but leaving it open for future consideration on another proposal specific to Petty. Anyone in favor of that? All right,
Yeah.
I'm seeing some hands. Anyone opposed? No. Great. All right. We're keeping us on our 1 minute schedule. Playground equipment. So I know we talked about this a lot last time. I went and addressed the board after saying I would do that. I didn't hear anyone arguing with that. So I went and addressed the board and asked the board for consideration of funds to replace the equipment at Petty. I thought it was well received, but I haven't heard back from the district at all on the topic. Yeah, normally you get an email like the next day saying, hey, we'll follow up with you. I didn't get one on that one. So I got to go back to Dr. Marino and just say, hey, you know, what's going on with that? And I'll follow up with him on that, but I've been a little busy. So I will follow up on that. But out of that, I posted my address to the board on our Facebook page, and Kate Ripper had mentioned about asking about if we were going to do any grants or anything like that, and she kind of expressed a willingness to try to help write grants, even though she's not a grant writer. So I need to solidify my connection. We've kind of been missing each other as far as connections go. And I was hoping maybe she was going to be here tonight, but maybe something kept her away. But we might look at that as another option to help supplement if the board doesn't do it, or even if they do it, maybe to look at additional equipment if we need it for the younger grades. I straight out went and asked for a replacement of what was existing there in the honor of the equity that the school district has been providing, and which was the big seller of the referendum to begin with. So I will follow up on that. I'll give you guys an update at the next meeting, but that's where we're at with that. Scholastic, we've put out some signups for asking for people if they're interested in helping things. I know we've talked about this, I think maybe for the last couple meetings, looking for someone. Melissa Stager, I'm not sure.
Stager.
Okay, sorry about that. Has volunteered to, or has shown an interest in helping. So I don't know if she's willing to take it on, but I'm going to approach her and ask her if she would. We've got spring's coming up fast, so we want to get something scheduled, and we want to maybe consider putting this in with a spring event, so we have people coming to the building at the same time. Oh,
Apparently, the spring book fair is being nixed due to the fact that they have to do a lot of work in here
okay.
for the coordinating resources for the different schools, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know until actually the Scholastic rep reached out to me after Nancy told them we wouldn't be doing the
Mhm.
spring, and she's like, well, she's not the principal, so I'm coming to you.
Okay.
No.
But then I also heard from our district-wide
Sure.
librarian saying, yes, we decided that we are canceling the spring.
All right, so good news, we'll look at coordinating this with a fall event, and we will give them plenty of time to set it up for next fall, hopefully. So I'm not gonna let this one go, but we'll see if we can line up resources for next year with that. So, good information, thank you. All right, Valentine's Day treat in our lovely boxes and conglomeration of Jewel and Walmart bags over there. We have, what you see over here is a treat for every student. We've got a little paper heart with a pencil through it for Valentine's Day. And for every staff member, we have a rose.
Chocolate rose.
For everyone that we'll be distributing after the event. If anybody wants to stay afterwards and help us spread them throughout the building, we
That's why the
appreciate
kids are
that.
here.
Thank you to Catherine for managing the project and making 500 little paper hearts and punching them and stabbing them through. I think it's a nice little treat, and hopefully maybe it's something a little special for.
Oh, it was half and half.
It was a family affair.
Caitlin did a lot of hole punching, and
Yeah.
it was spread out on our dining room
So.
table.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
problem.
So that's going out there. So if you saw in there where she was talking about, Melissa was talking about a cost for that, that was to cover those kinds of things. As if we're in between meetings, we might post things online on Facebook or just amongst email or whatever, asking for people's opinions on things. We might move on some of the stuff that falls in between. And unfortunately, we couldn't wait till today to ask for that. So we just went ahead with it. All right, spring break event. I know we talked about a possible event at the Anac Movie Theater to be held over spring break. Kara Heather had volunteered to explore options. I hadn't followed up with her yet. I was hoping to do that tonight. She's not here, so I'll follow up with her later and we'll find out if this is an option or not and move on from there. All right, so one point that I would like to bring up. Technically, according to our bylaws, our elections are to be held in April. I would like to amend our bylaws and move that meeting to May to allow parents from other schools that will be coming the following year to be able to come and either seek office or cast their vote and get a taste of what's to come. So that's really all it's about. I think probably the way that it was set up was so that elections would be held in April and then in May you could start the transition over. The transition can happen behind the scenes, not at a meeting in June over the summer, and get it over to everybody that way. So I'd like to just make it quick and say, let's take a vote. Is anyone? We'll just do this. Anybody opposed to amending the bylaws and doing that? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right. Well, I'll amend the bylaws and we'll move our meetings to May. I guess it wasn't until I actually read the bylaws a second time that I realized that was the case. I kind of thought maybe that was it. But I guess before I move on for there, since I'm maybe a little bit ahead, any objections to inviting future people over for our final meeting? Okay, great, wonderful. All right, now we move on to the deeper dive topics. That was our speed round. So, what we need to do is we need to pass a budget. I noticed last time, a lot of people were like, well, I don't know what to do, how much money. I saw some uncertainty, and I'm not saying that there isn't uncertainty because we haven't done a ton of fundraising. We don't know how much is coming in, but we need to pass a budget to move on here. So what I have here is a proposal. A couple of the board members met since our last meeting and came up with this proposal, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through it real quick. So board members, as you have stuff that you want to add into it, please just chime in. If you have questions, feel free. But let's kind of talk about, we'll talk on this side here real quick. So on this side we have listings of money in, money out, and money left over. You might not be able to read it on the bottom, but according to this proposal, based off of some of our estimates, what we have right now, we're estimated to bring in about $22,000 this year. That includes our beginning budget of the $15,000. So out of that, we've budgeted in insurance, dues, and operating costs for 2 years to cover us for 2 years. So not just 1 year, just in case we had a really bad year, we would have something to fall back on. We've got some miscellaneous expenses. We've got staff appreciation, school assemblies. We have some of the things that we talked about, the Valentine's Day treat, and all of the things that we've already approved. So the seesaw, the Battle of the Books, all that stuff is built into this budget. With our total expenses, that would be about $14,000. Now, some of this stuff is projected for this year and next year even. Like we have a grand opening event that I've carved out money for that maybe would be in the fall. We talked about a spring event, and there's a budget for that to get that moving. Now, some of those hopefully will bring in funds too that necessarily aren't built in here. But what we have is we've got some activity fundraisers, we've got food fundraisers and other fundraisers. So what I did is I looked at how much money do we get from the bowling event. Okay, based off of that, I cut it a little, I cut it at about that same price and said, all right, well, we made $400 on that. Let's not account for the full $400. Let's call it $350. If we hold two events like that that are similar to that, which we all know we can do a little bit better on, we should make over that. So I kind of was conservative in my money in, and I was very stringent and lenient on my money out and kind of padded that a little bit. With that being said, beyond that, we would have our 2 years of dues and everything else moving forward, plus we would have carry over almost $8,000. Okay? So the way that we broke that out into this area here is I kind of broke it out into a few categories. We have operational here in the green. Over here in the pink, we have spirit. Down here in the bottom, we have teacher and staff grants. And then on this side here, we have events. Events kind of can be spirit, they can be fundraising. Again, it looks like a big, huge chunk of the pie, but some of that might be a lot less expensive as we actually plan out events. But I budgeted, you know, for like the grand opening event, I carved out $4,000 to pay for that. Who knows if we would even need that much, depends on what we do, but I kind of want to make a big deal about the grand opening. But we can't cross that bridge until later in the year. But that's kind of the way that we handled it. Things that would be in the events, we've got pastries for parents, spring event, and we've got money doled out for it. Again, I think these are generous amounts, and they're not accounting for money coming back in up at the top. But this is a proposal that we put out there. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Just an FYI, in 2020 will be the 40th anniversary of this building.
That's right, it was built in 1980.
So just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
I know they did some type of event at Oakland School when it was an anniversary, I don't know what they did. I know they displayed pictures, not that we need to pull up any of my old pictures.
Do we know when in 2020 they opened?
No. Well, we used to have, what did they do down with that, outside the office, they used to have that thing? Who knows?
All right, well, we'll
Look
see if we can
into it.
find
I know
that
it was
information.
1980, other
Maybe
than
somebody at the
that.
district would know,
Yeah.
when they
No,
open
Kathy.
the building.
Kathy knows.
So, because that could be fall of 2020, for all we know.
Yeah, you could probably Google it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I'm sure it's in public record
Or
somewhere.
there's people that know, I'm sure Sue Stephen knows.
So, but that's a great idea for another big event, and maybe it even ties into the grand opening event and everything else. But with everything that's going on, the building has a lot to be proud of, and I think it would be a nice welcoming event for the school if we have one in the fall. That's just my thoughts. We can take it or leave it. It all depends on what we do.
About having events, and we haven't really had much of this lately. At one point in time, and I don't know if there was someone that worked at our school but they were affiliated with like a local newspaper, and then they
Mhm.
would invite like the newspaper photographer, reporter to come out.
Yeah, we can do all
Those
that.
are always good. I don't
Mhm.
know who to contact, but it'd be good PR for the
Oh,
schools.
we can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I can look up somebody that's on a school
Right.
beat or whatever,
Yeah.
and invite people
Right.
to that from Daily Herald
Right.
and different things like
Yeah.
that.
And like that handing out community flyer you get in the
Yeah, that
mail.
little flyer that's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So that might be something that we put in there as well.
Yeah.
But just kind of looking at the percentages, we tried to think about, Spirit, which is one of our funding things, the grants, which maybe this year, this is what it is. Next year, that might grow. This budget might completely change by next year, and there'll be a new one that we'll have to pass in the fall. But I wanted to have something that's set up here. I included the grand opening event because with that being hopefully at the end of summer, around tied to the beginning of the school year, we want to plan for it now so they have the funds reserved for them to do, whoever is stepping up to do it. So that's kind of where we're at. Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'm going to ask us to take a vote and see if we would pass this budget. All right, all in favor of this budget? Unanimous. Wonderful. All right, done. Wow, that didn't take that long, and I call that a deep dive topic. All right, pastries for parents. We talked about that a little bit. Tentatively, we filled out the building paperwork to have that on March 20th from 7:45 to 8:30. Then when the word came down that we can only have hamburgers and Skittles, we kind of said, whoa, let's not do that. And then I started thinking about, well, what else can we do? So I started contacting like Love and Oven and said, hey, can we have it off-site? Can we have it at your place? They were, that sounds like a great idea. We'll come back to you with options. Still waiting.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
I
you
still
know,
haven't heard back from them for their raffle item for the
Yeah.
bowling alley, so.
part of it's probably because I didn't have the persistence on it. But we can move forward now. We have the food policy here. We can have it here. We don't have to go to an external venue. We can do that for something else if we want to, or if we want to do it for this. That's up to the group, but we don't have to. One thought that we were doing so that we don't have to pay for it all is proposing maybe a $5 per adult fee. Kids eat free, and ask them, for that. We can build in our waiver to that ticket when they give us the $5 and we do that. If we're going to do this though, we will need volunteers, both parent and teachers, to help make it work. I know that it goes right up to the beginning of the school day, so maybe if we can have some of the staff help on the earlier side, and then the parents can handle, the later end or whatever. I'm sure we can work that out. But with all of this, we need volunteers to make it work. So with that being said, is anybody interested in helping plan this, helping it move forward? I've got the building paperwork going through, and I think it's just a matter of saying, yes, we still want to do it, and go from there, and then it's a matter of pushing it through. Okay.
Yeah, Emily and I have already been talking about it. Yeah.
So why are you doing it? Why are we doing it during the week instead of like on a weekend or something like that?
Because people are bringing their kids to school anyway.
Yeah, it's like before school. We used to do
Yeah.
this. So it was a before school thing that we used to do. So it was like a nice way to kind of start the morning.
Yeah.
And it goes up right until 8:30. So like, the parents can come a little early with their child. We would borrow games from the teachers, so we'd have different games there. And they could sit and play games and have breakfast together, and then parents can go off to work and kids can walk down to their classroom. So it was a different event that we did. Something kind of really, I don't think was.
I'm just thinking because parents. I mean, I work.
Right.
I work like 7:15.
Mhm.
Like my daughter's preschool did something. It was like a Lutheran school. They did something similar to this, but it was like on a weekend.
weekend.
So it was always pretty well attended. I was just curious why it was a weekend.
Yeah, I think that we were hoping to capitalize on people bringing their kids to school and have that. And then that's kind of where maybe the spring event falls in. That would maybe be a weekend event that people can come with their family and do that. So we want to have options, a variety of things through the year. That one would probably be a bigger event, frankly, the one on the weekend, than just come and have a muffin with your mom or dad or whoever.
Special person.
Special person, yes.
Yes.
So, but if we want to move on this, it's March 20th. Today's the 13th, so we've got a little over a month to get this going, and
We got a volunteer on Facebook Live, so
Yes.
thank you, Stacy.
Perfect, wonderful.
They're watching us.
So
Yeah.
listen, Catherine's kind of been working with Emily on this. So if you're interested in volunteering for it, let's go for it. Assuming that there's no one opposed to moving forward with it at this point. Anyone opposed? Okay, great. And as always, we'll see how it goes. If attendance is not so good, we'll look at other ways of doing events like this and look at ways that we can do that. So, all right. Which brings me to volunteering. So I've set up signups online at signups.com and put it in our newsletter. We put it on Facebook, put it in a bunch of different places. We set up signups for upcoming events. We have signups listed for the 3rd grade concert, 2nd grade concert, the STEAM night, which I've heard that they need some help for that as well. Culver Scoopy night, spring event, 5th grade picnic, scholastic, fall event, fundraiser, social gatherings. If you look at the end, you'll see how many slots we have after the slash and how many people we have volunteered for each of them ahead of time. Got a little bit of a problem along the lines of 3rd grade. We had to cancel that one because we didn't have anyone.
Normally we would have been able to do it, but I had to grab Caitlin from dance, and there was no time in between. So
we were kind of one parent up until game time and couldn't make it work. So 5th grade picnic's really popular. A lot of people want to help with that one.
Yeah.
But not so much on everything else. And then if you look here where we've got 1 of 6, 1 of 6, 1 of 6, 1 of 6.
That's the
same
same
person.
person.
Same person, I kind of wondered.
Same person.
person.
So, which brings the point. If we don't have volunteers for things, we may need to cancel events and activities. It just comes down to that. I know that we've got a lot of people here that come to everything. We've got people that are supporting us, but we need people to step up and help us volunteer. Which brings me to my question. Any suggestions or ideas to increase volunteering?
A lot of fun at home with the kids, like the 2nd grade concert, every 2nd grade parent that's gonna be there. Maybe they got a brother or sibling or something like that they wanna do, but they don't know
Leave
about
the
it.
flyer or go home with the 2nd graders. I think in 2nd grade they still give their parents papers.
Yeah,
Or
that's
something
the
to
other
kick
problem.
back if they are volunteering.
One-
Like I
was
did
thinking.
offer front row at the music
Mhm.
concert if they volunteer. Or
Well-
something.
Reserved seating.
Or
I'm
something
wondering,
for the kids.
could we offer up reserved seating at concerts for people that have a raffle once a month for people that have volunteered, and they can get a voucher for reserved one reserved seat.
Or,
You might have to split
know,
up your family, but at least one person can be there with the camera
Yeah.
in the front row, you know, type thing.
Or if you volunteer, your child could get a raffle ticket, and the kids would be like,
Mhm.
oh, you got to volunteer. I mean, we've done things like that, and we could do some kind of raffle prize. That would cost us some money, though.
It would cost us some money, but
But
right
we
now,
could get more people right now.
money
we
is
really-
coming in,
Yeah,
volunteers are not.
I know.
Right.
So I'm not opposed to
You know, so if your
throwing
parent,
some funds that way if that's what it's gotta be.
yeah, if your parent volunteers, you get a raffle ticket, and then after the event, we pull names, or after a certain number of events, or whatever. Probably maybe after a certain number, because there's not many people that we need for volunteering.
Mhm.
But maybe something like that, so then the kids can say, oh, Mom, Dad, if you volunteer and help out, you know, then I can get a raffle ticket.
And I'd just like to see, like, if we are offering kickbacks like that, to make sure that the opportunities to volunteer are
Yes.
varied. So if you're a single
Right.
parent
Mhm.
and you can't do anything at night,
Well, and that was what I was
Is
gonna
there
say.
something else
I
they
would
can
do
do?
a lot more, but I'm not sure what I should and should do with Scarlett. I don't
Mhm.
have someone
Mhm.
to watch her. I mean, for the most part, other than her volume, she's pretty well behaved, but
Yeah.
I mean, she's 3. But I mean, if we could maybe make it more clear on what is friendly and not friendly somehow to, well, little people.
unfriendly event.
Yes,
Right, please sign up.
I'd probably sign up to go, you know.
Well, I get that, cause even with
Yeah.
me, you know, my kids going to school and working here, and at times it's like, I wanted to come, but I wanted to come for my family, but then I also wanted to help out at work, you know, school.
Mhm.
So, you know, can you bring your little ones and still, depending
still
on
help
what it
out.
is.
And I get,
Yeah.
like, not everybody can, like, volunteer for everything, and I don't want that, frankly.
We want
I
different
want
people.
people to give
Mhm.
a little bit of time and say, I'll do this one, and then somebody else can step up for the other one and spread it out a little bit. Otherwise, it's getting overwhelming. So, there's a lot going on, and we have some high ambitions, but maybe we have to, you know, tamper that a little bit. I don't know. So, we have some ideas for parents. You know, there could be maybe the concert, you know, front row there, or maybe some other incentives that could be part of a raffle. Students could get some kind of a raffle.
Well, I was gonna say, because how we were talking before about getting a night at the hotel here in town. Maybe
Mhm.
we can make, you know, this is what you're aiming for, you know, the first half or whatever, maybe work out
Mhm.
something big for the parents, and then the kids can still get their raffle tickets or something. But it would only be one prize for all the volunteers for, if we do it.
Pot or whatever.
Right.
That's a good prize.
Right.
Well-
And that would be something that they would donate to us, that we wouldn't have to necessarily count as something out. And then the
Mhm.
kids still get their raffle tickets every time their parent volunteers. And then the parents are still volunteering because they're still hoping to get their name
So,
for that
Here's-
night's stay.
here's a thought. We were approached and asked if we would be willing to do like a fundraising event or some kind of an event at the Limerick. And, you know, could we do something like that? At first I was like, that's a cool idea. And then I was kind of like, I wonder what the legality is of drinking and driving and things like that or whatever. However, now that I think about it, what if it's just a thought, what if for volunteers we had some kind of a special thing on, and we had some kind of an event like at the Limerick or whatever, or we paid somehow to get them free kids night out. So they can drop off their kids at kids night out, and then they can either go to an event where we host a little open soiree of some sort, or they can just go out on their own or whatever. I don't know.
Kids night out, parents night out thing,
Mhm.
where all the parents meet up
Can I
after
just
they drop
say
their children
something,
off.
speaking as a parent, and like, you know, like, you're dropping your kid off at school, so they go watch a movie, and you're gonna go out and have drinks and then pick your kid up.
That's a very
You know,
valid
so
point.
that's the
Yeah,
first
to
thing
go
that
pick up
crossed
your
my
kid.
mind, that doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't,
It
for
doesn't-
me, it doesn't sit
It
well.
doesn't have to be at the Limerick. We
Right.
could do at a restaurant.
Yeah,
or
I like that
whatever,
idea
and
better.
You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's food or something,
Maybe something
like that.
with the
Or,
Limerick we could pursue and find out what
Later on,
they're
yes.
talking about, but maybe not affiliated with, you know, a kid's night out at the school.
No.
Casino night at the Limerick.
I don't know. I mean, I know they do different things there, you know, in one of our,
I know baseball, we had a casino night and we
Mhm.
Whoa.
one evening.
Yeah, no, and that was like an option there, but,
Okay.
so there's some options there, but figuring out what that
Get more
right.
like places to
Yeah, you gotta
donate.
get a license
Mhm.
and you actually you pay out. There's this company we used, you pay out, it costs about $3,000, but they're professional dealers
Mhm.
and all this, because the average person, you think you can deal blackjack, but no, these guys can deal blackjack.
Yeah. So,
That'd be a big event, yeah.
as you can tell, I'm willing to consider just about anything at this point. I don't think there's necessarily there's probably are bad ideas, but I'm willing to talk through them because who knows what can come out of it, you know. But it's probably our organization's biggest challenge.
Are
And
you
when-
getting much feedback from social media, or is it all the same people that are looking at it?
Same people.
Same people liking
Oh, I figured.
things, yeah. I mean, we've gotten an occasional here or there, but not really people saying, yes, me. So, not sure on that. The other one that we need to consider when we're doing this, we're talking about parents, but how else do we get staff involved? It's a big piece of the puzzle. I mean, we're talking Culver Scoopy night, and we've got 3 volunteers.
And one of them is Mrs. Garrettson, so thank you.
Yes. And I know it might not be convenient for that night, but I know that's one of the most, the coolest part of Scoopy night for the kids is seeing their
Well,
staff
maybe we
and
should
teachers.
post a sign-up sheet in the lounge, we used to
Right.
do that, so we could get that posted.
I figured online would be even easier
Yeah,
for everyone,
I know,
you know,
people
just to
see
go
that
in there and
and
fill it
make
out.
copies,
And,
like a reminder.
But if it's sitting on the tables in the lounge,
Yeah.
it's in front of your face.
Right, you're like, oh, I guess I should, and then
Okay.
like a group will be like, hey, we can meet for dinner, and then we can stay and do it, so that's, I'll do maybe something like that.
Is there any incentives that we can give teachers for participating in something?
What, like at the Scoopy nights?
Yeah, like free dinner.
Buy them a Sunday.
yeah,
I mean, if
Free
you
ice cream?
If you spend $50 on teachers,
Yeah.
ice cream,
No.
whatever,
Right.
but to make $300, you weren't gonna make $300 anyway. So.
No.
no, exactly.
If you volunteer, we pay for your dinner, but that would be, I don't know.
Jeans Day the next day.
Yeah,
Well,
some
what-
people do,
Whatever,
yeah.
I'm not the expert there
Right.
Yeah.
on that. I mean, I
Any-
thought about
any suggestions
for volunteers, maybe we have, in a certain time period, we have a raffle for an Amazon gift card. If that would help.
I mean, we could do
What about
something
what
like
about
that.
class competitions, like most kids from a class, you can kind of do stuff
Oh,
like
that's a
that.
good
or
idea.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like a teacher, like,
We have some very competitive teachers here on the staff.
So maybe you give the teachers X
Not
number of
really many,
points.
but there are
If,
some.
if they show up,
Well,
They get
right,
one
but
point,
then
and
they
For
can
instance-
reach out to
Yeah.
Class Dojo or whatever
Or if
method
you
and,
say,
hey,
if your
sign up,
class
hey,
has
sign
the
up.
most students participating in this, I mean, we do
What-
have some people that
What about
really.
what about like a rotating Scoopy award or something like that?
Yeah.
Someone just
Like,
said
it's
she
like
can
you guys
get
have a Scoopy page or something like that.
Maybe Scoopy.
free
can
pizza
come.
coupons from Maniac Pizza on
What's that?
Facebook. Someone said she can get free pizza coupons from Antioch Pizza for teacher volunteers.
Oh, yeah, that's a good, yeah.
See, tell her she should come and tell us in person.
Thank you again, Stacy.
Oh, see?
nice.
I like that classroom competition thing. We've done different types of competitions over the years.
I think, and then with the teachers too, maybe it's like you give like points, maybe you give the
Right there.
teacher
Oh, yeah.
gets more points than the kids do.
Yeah.
So it's an incentive for like the teachers to sign up.
They can really
Yeah.
weight
Right,
that sucker.
So the teacher's worth X amount of points,
Yeah.
each student or family
Yeah.
is worth X amount of points.
Yeah.
That's a neat idea.
Mhm.
Teachers versus kids.
Okay, so they win. They get what? A trophy, and is there something else?
Could be a traveling
I was gonna
trophy.
say.
Is the traveling
teachers
trophy
gotta
good
work
enough?
hard for a trophy. but-
Yeah.
I don't know, what do they really want?
Do we do the trophy and a gift card?
Double the incentive.
Or like Sundays, or like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
Culver's, like Sunday coupons, like for everybody in the class,
Yeah,
something like
something like
that.
that would be nice.
You know.
If they volunteer, they
Kids.
can have all the free scoops on the back of the kids' meals.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's a way there. The other thing is, you know, I don't know. Is this something? Is it possible that maybe one of us can come to a staff meeting and talk about our organization and
That's a
talk
good
about
idea.
how important it is for us to do that?
Yeah.
Is that something we can do?
I like that idea, and I think I was saying to you, we were talking about, you know, it's been so many years that we've had any kind
Mhm.
of like this. So now I think now to kind of start it up again with people so busy with their lives, it's gonna take a while.
I
You
I
know?
get it.
So, but that's a good idea, of coming and talking, and then passing around the sign-up sheet, like, sign up, I mean, you can do that, you know, so.
Yeah, I was trying to think backwards, because if you think of why don't teachers sign up, it's because they're exhausted.
Yes.
Yeah, oh,
Get it.
I know.
So how do you counteract the exhaustion?
Okay.
Dr.
So-
Schultz and Duncan.
Or
It's a Dr. Schultz and Duncan.
can we approach maybe like
Coffee.
Blue Rain Massage and see if we can get a massage gift certificate? That
That
could
would
be
be
part of
awesome.
the award.
No.
I
That
got, yeah, I got probably.
Would people volunteer for a chance at
That
that?
would get me going, yeah. and then you
Yeah.
can-
I
can't speak
for them, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean.
I know I would as a woman,
Right.
working
I
woman.
would
I don't
sign up
care.
for that. That place is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
see if
that's
they
an
will
option out there.
volunteer
And
something.
listen, even if they won't volunteer, maybe we just bring, you know what I mean, and see if we can get it going.
Yeah.
Or we could make like a gift basket or something, you know, they have like up here, they did something for the kids for this, thing that we did for this, student council.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there could be like a raffle basket for the staff, if they volunteer, then they get tickets to get raffles.
Or
And
X
if
amount
you're
of
getting,
staff,
you know, stuff
Right.
from the local businesses, you can make up some gift bags.
Mhm.
All right, so the idea of raffling something to try to encourage is a good one.
I think so.
The competition part is a good one.
That's a fun one.
Speaking to them and addressing them and talking about how important their any bit that they can do throughout the year helps. Okay, that's great. I'll work with you, Joanna, about when the next staff meeting is that I can come in and talk, and then we'll do that. We'll also put a sign up in the lounge for Scoopy Night as well, and kind of go on from there. Hopefully, maybe the chocolate roses help a little too. So we'll see. All right.
Where are these posted?
What's that?
Where's this posted?
These are on signups.com. So we've posted links on Facebook. We had them in our newsletter, and go out from there. So we'll push the information back out again. So for
Yeah.
anyone that hasn't seen it.
And maybe we should, I don't know how often people read the school newsletter, I mean, I read it, but, you know, maybe if we have a link on there with information about, or you could write something in your, principal page, you could talk about testing and.
We can
then you
also maybe
mention
send home a flyer asking for volunteers and
Yeah, I
see
was
if that
gonna
works.
suggest that,
Yeah,
a paper flyer.
Sometimes that might work, you know, so.
I remember getting those from Hillcrest when PTO still existed.
They had the volunteer pledge, I think, pledge 2 hours
Well,
throughout the
isn't that
course of the
on that
year
thing
or
that
whatever.
they sign?
Oh, the Title I.
The Title I, it's on there. Because I told my students, if you're gonna sign this, you need to know what you're signing.
Yeah.
And so I said, you have to read this, and if your parents signed it, hopefully they read it, and it is on there. It says that you will volunteer.
Let's go door to door.
Door to door. You signed
You
this.
signed.
You signed, you look for it. You have to
You
own
would
the
take a
office.
picture of it, see, and you put
We
that.
got Grandma
Put
Jones.
that on the newsletter. Do you remember signing this?
Post it on Facebook.
So.
Yeah, post it on Facebook. Everybody, do you recall signing this?
Well, we will. We'll work for some of that, and hopefully reward people. Maybe part of it is we are better about rewarding the people that are, or that help organize and help out and publicize that a little bit and give some recognition where it's due. We haven't had a lot so far, so it's been a little tough, but we'll go from there. Before I move on from volunteering, any other thoughts or ideas? If not, follow up with me, and I'm willing to explore it all. All right, we'll see. Hopefully, we've got more going on there. So, Petty also has been looking at a new logo, and I've been working with the Joanna and the teams, narrowed down to 4 options. Hopefully, most of you guys have seen this by now. We've asked for votes on both logo and color combinations, and voting has taken place over about 3 weeks. So if you haven't seen that form yet, well.
And Joanna asked us to have our students vote, so yesterday all my students voted, they had fun with that.
Voted by today.
Nice.
Yeah,
So I'll
they
go through.
voted, I mean, we all did, we did yesterday, they had fun.
All right. So now this is accurate as of probably about 2:30 or 3 o'clock today. We've got some results to share.
I've been watching.
I know.
Oh, insider information.
So which design do you like best? Design B is the clear favorite with 51.5%.
Which one was the?
Hold on.
Okay.
Drum roll. We'll have drum roll in a minute. Design A came in second, Design D, and then Design C in last place there. Now this says that there was 478 responses. At the time that I checked, there was 500, so it ticked up a little bit, but not enough to change any of the percentages by more than a percentage point. Color combinations. Design B was still also the favorite, with design D coming up second favorite, and design A third, and nobody likes design C. Nobody liked it. I'm not going to show you all the designs, but we had 500 votes as of today, and the winner is.
It's exactly perfect.
Emma.
Oh.
So that's where it's at. Unless
didn't either.
unless I hear of any executive actions or changes, I'm assuming that this is kind of what we're doing.
People did comment how exactly
It's a
what
little
you're saying.
fierce.
A scary.
Especially if we're gonna be K5. Did they have maybe like friendlier looking Bobcats?
There were.
We had some, but they were too cartoony. They were too baby.
wolves.
I know.
Mhm.
That's why I don't like them.
You voted
That's
for
why
none of
I
the
voted
above,
for the
right?
one with the paw.
That's what I voted for. I like the paw.
I like the teal, but I like the
Yeah. So, if this stands, this would be it, but I'll work with Joanna to finalize all of that. But what that means for us moving forward, hopefully because I talked to Joanna about this, is that we can set up a spirit store as another fundraiser. And so I've worked with a local vendor, American Outfitters. They would set up an online store for us.
get board approval first.
Get board
I'll
approval
have
first.
it. I'll
Okay.
submit it.
You'll submit it? I don't need to do it? Okay. All right. So the idea would be we would have this if pending board approval. Orders would process over a 2 to 4 week window. So you'd have like a 2 to 4 week window, but it'd be perpetual. We pretty much keep it open, and just when we finish one order, we can go into a next one, or have a 2 week hiatus and go into a next one. Orders will be sent to the school and we'll distribute them. Everything can be done online. We can set the prices for the items, so we control our profits as well. With that being said, we want to make sure that things are kept reasonable so that people can get what they need. So that brings up another interactive portion where I was asking does anyone have suggestions of things they would like to see in said store?
I think
Back-
aside from like regular clothing,
Mhm.
like I know my kids love those little like flip notebooks, like that they're lined.
Okay.
But like the little tiny spirals are
Okay.
fun.
Like window clings, like for your car.
Yep, that's one thing I wanted to have
Magnetic
on there.
ones, yeah.
Water bottles.
Water bottles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those drawstring
Drawstring
backpacks.
backpacks, I was thinking.
hmm
I'm just writing, so keep talking.
Hoodies,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm. Hoodies, t-shirts,
See all that.
I want a fleece.
fleece,
Yes,
zip up,
nice.
quarter,
Yes, that's nice.
quarter, 3/4.
No,
Oh,
full
pajama
Full zip.
pants. Cause I leave them
Oh,
on
pajama
pants.
pants.
Yeah.
Pajama pants would be cool.
I talked about having like the insulate, what are those called? The super popular brand name. I don't know. You put hot or cold in there.
Oh,
You go either
oh,
way.
the Yetis.
The Yetis, like the
Yeah.
Yeti tumbler type things
Okay.
to have in there. I can hopefully maybe see a teacher having one of those on their desk or whatever.
Maybe like a
Um,
baseball style t-shirt.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, I think I.
Yeah, there was
One of
some on
them.
those.
Do they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that one. You go back, babe.
No, I got it right there.
Yeah.
So we had like a baseball style, and
Yeah.
these were just for ideas to see how they look. Some of the designs we'll probably have multiple designs of things that have this, and maybe have some fun
How about,
sayings
like,
or whatever.
keychains or something, kids love those things that hang on their back.
Oh yes.
I think pop sockets for
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Keychains, pop sockets.
Another thing that I thought of that I saw yesterday from my day job, and might be interesting, is branded USB cable for like charging your device.
Oh.
Especially now that we're getting close to 1-to-1, it might be a nice way for people to get an extra cable if they need one. So
We can get koozies for when we hook up with the limerick.
Yeah, right?
that's it. Anybody that volunteered gets a free koozie. You can put your Diet Coke in there. It's all right.
Shot glasses. No. I'm
No.
kidding.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on, she hasn't put the board approval in there yet. Careful. But yeah, there's lots of options out there. Pretty much the ideas are limitless, because what happens is they put it up there, and unless somebody orders it, it doesn't get produced. It's kind of like print on demand type stuff. So hopefully we can have a lot of different options and things like that. So.
I don't know if families would order like folders, you know, for
Oh, yeah.
Students.
school supply type.
Sure.
Pencils.
Right,
Pencils,
yeah.
pens.
Pencil pouches,
Yeah.
that would be cute. I know.
Binders.
Binders, all that stuff. Lunch bags. Then every kid's.
Yeah,
Is that a
that's
problem if
yeah,
everybody's is
yeah,
exactly the
Yeah,
same? I don't
his
know.
name on it.
Do you want to sign up for that one? Yeah.
Embroidered with your name.
Embroidered with your name.
Luggage tags, right? So you can attach it to your lunchbox. There you go. So, anyways, we'll continually ask for that as people have ideas. You know, we can move forward with those and really expand that once we get the board approval. So, but that should be another way for us to earn some funds and hopefully make sure that we make it rain petty bobcats up in this place. So, I think it worked out pretty well. Hopefully. So, all right. Moving on, spring event. We talked about this a little bit, having a family event, things that maybe we want to do. These were just some of my thoughts on it. Do we want to have kind of like some of the raffles and auctions where classrooms are in a competition to do some baskets, things like that, and do like a silent auction type thing for those. We talked about incorporating the book fair, but since there will not be a book fair, we won't be doing that.
We will have other nights though, like we're gonna have February 28th is the art show and
Mhm.
STEAM night. There still will be a reading night and a math night.
Okay, that's great. The idea is, when would we have this? And do we have any ideas for an event like this? I mean, I've had some thoughts, but I don't want to throw them out there. I'd rather kind of hear what everybody else.
You
has
already
thought.
have though, in the past.
I've talked to other people, but I don't know if I've talked to the whole group about it. So,
Well, one thing we can have at these events are sign-up sheets for other events for
Yep.
volunteers. So having a sign-up table.
Well, right, well, like next time, like how we had the raffle tickets for the bowling thing, if you sign up, you get an extra raffle ticket.
Right.
Or whatever, if
Yeah.
you sign up for another event, you get
Right.
extra tickets.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For a
That'd be a
future
good way.
event, something like that would be really cool.
any suggestion for what type of event we would hold? I mean, we've already talked. There's gonna be a reading night. There's gonna be a math night. There's gonna be this. I was thinking maybe this would be something
Fun.
fun.
Sorry.
On a
I'm
weekend.
sorry. Non-educational.
Yes.
Sorry.
During the school year still? Or
During,
after?
I would say during the school year.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking.
During the school year.
Vacations.
I'll throw out an idea and see if it sparks anything. I was thinking kind of like a family dance of sort. Think like daddy-daughter dance, but for the whole family. Maybe we could have a DJ in the gym.
Yeah, they used to, at AES, they used to do a sock hop or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I had,
Could be a sock hop theme, yeah.
no.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
a-
have to be, but I knew that they did a
DJ
dance, I don't
would
know.
like
if
to
they
Eagles got poodles.
volunteer.
I know.
person. I said, I know someone who runs their own DJ company would like me
Mhm.
volunteer if I talk to him.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh,
That's
that'd be
fantastic.
fantastic.
See, that can just be subtracted right off that budget that we have allotted for this. So it can be done a lot cheaper, and you know, I was thinking that would be an option. Maybe we have like a little photo backdrop and whatever. I went to the daddy-daughter dance like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago or whatever, and it was kind of cool that, you know, we got to go, but the moms that like to dance weren't there, you know, and they don't have that opportunity. They get to go bowling, you know, with their sons. So I don't know if that's something worthwhile.
I know, I'm just saying.
I like the dance idea.
Yeah, I
That's a good
think I'm
idea.
leaving it open to the whole family.
Yeah.
I like
Mhm.
that a lot.
It's not exclusive.
Yeah.
It'd be a good social event for parents too, that
Right,
maybe
yeah.
don't normally
Socialize.
like
We'll
interact
have to
with
have
parents.
our
Well, there would be that. There would be the area that they can dance or whatever there, and then I was hoping maybe there would be a separate area where
They can eat Skittles and.
they can eat Skittles and Sour Patch Kids and
And burgers.
candy. Yep, yep. Well, and here's the other thought. We could try to incorporate food to it. Or instead of that, we could also maybe try to connect with someplace like Anastasia's or some other restaurant where we work out some kind of a deal. Bring in your tickets and you get a free kids meal for that night or something like that to encourage people to go there. And then maybe Anastasia's will give us a cut back too, or I don't know. We'll see how good of a deal somebody can do. But maybe we, instead of serving a meal, we work encourage them to go to a local business and do that, and then just have like drinks and snacks, Sour Patch Kids and Skittles, bags of Roll Gold pretzels or whatever, and have that, you know, there as well. Maybe there can be some games or things like that. But to make something like that happen, we're going to need volunteers, and we're going to need quite a bit, because it's a pretty hefty task to start from scratch on something like this, and we'll need people to help come up with the idea, and then we need to farm it out and get some more people to help, you know.
Donate a backdrop stand.
Okay.
I've got
So,
two of them.
great, great. So,
They actually fold to like teeny tiny.
cool, cool. So, is this something that it sounds like everybody thinks is a good idea to move forward with?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Okay. Any volunteers here that are willing to step up and try to plan it? Not saying you got to run the whole thing. I'm saying if we can get a group of people that we can farm out for planning it, and then we can work on trying to get the volunteers for it and the donations and things like, and spread it out a little bit and see what
I
we can
will.
do. Okay.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be good.
Okay. Obviously, I will commit to help planning. So last thing, when do we want to try to do this?
Weekend day, right?
Weekend day? Is that doable?
I think so.
Like
I'd
I'm.
have to find out what we do about, because we have to have a custodian.
I think there's costs. There's costs that come back to us from there, and that's kind of what I thought would be included as part of that budget. I believe there's an hourly charge from the event form on that, but if you're saying it's not impossible, that would be cool. So I think that's fine
We're
as far as
over.
that goes. We're over. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I think this is one of our last things. But if we're talking about a weekend, are we thinking April, May? I mean, do we leave that up to the
Early
group?
May.
Like the 4th.
Well,
That's
there's
art
art
crawl.
crawl.
Oh, yeah, that's usually
That's
that.
the first
the
weekend,
first
and then
Saturday.
we run into Mother's Day, and
Maybe April.
maybe well,
Maybe last weekend in April?
well, I think hold on, because Easter's really late too this year.
No, that's true.
Easter's the 12th.
But then again, we're adding some snow days, right? Probably.
We're going to the end of, when's our last day now? 31st.
So maybe middle weekend after Mother's Day. I don't know.
So well,
I think if we do go into May though, that's when all like the spring sports are like starting.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
End of April would be
I think
better.
April 27th is a possibility. It's the weekend after Easter, and the
20
weekend before art crawl.
So that might be our only possibility.
Yeah,
too.
actually.
I'm guessing this is gonna be an evening event.
I would think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Like, you know, especially if we're going to coordinate it with a dinner or something like that, it'd probably be a late afternoon, early evening type thing. Like, I don't know. I think Daddy-Daughter Dance was from 5 till 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking if we want them to, if we do end up doing like an Anastasia's connection, we're gonna wanna plan the times
Yeah.
Right.
around when they.
And
Yeah.
they might like that. Like, if we send everybody there at like 4:30 when maybe they're kind of dead before the
Right.
busy rush, and then do it there. So we have some flexibility with that, and we'll have to work with that if we can do that. But does that sound like a good idea to try to organize it with a local business
Yeah.
for a dinner like that? Okay, then we'll let that kind of,
Probably have the dance there too.
not the dance
Oh,
right
no,
here.
we're in our gym.
The dance would be here in the gym,
Yeah.
but we would, as part of the ticket to come, you would be able to take that ticket and then do that. We'll see what happens there. I know they've got
like the lodge in Antioch, not that it's that big, but I know that they're working with like the Antioch Traveling Closet.
Mhm.
I had
Yeah.
heard, and it could just be maybe the person that kind of like, we were looking for something for our holiday get together.
Mhm.
We went to the lodge because they have like an area in the back, but they tried contacting Anastasia to see if they would work with like the staff, and they were not very accommodating. But they may be different depending on
I
someone
can
else.
see. I had a
Yeah.
contact there when we did the referendum, and they
Okay.
put our ad up in all the
Oh, yeah, I
things
remember
around
that.
that because they've got multiple kids in the district.
Okay.
So I can
So
reach out to
maybe-
them and see if
yeah.
I can make contact
Good.
there. But the lodge would definitely be
There could be
another
some
option.
limited size bars. There aren't a lot of choices.
Or
Yeah.
even Las Vegas, because
'cause it's got.
Well, but Las
They don't
Vegas
have
is open at
dinner.
night.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah.
I wish they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right. We are kind of limited there,
We are,
and
yeah.
Antioch Pizza Shop can't handle the volume that we
No.
probably would
Yeah.
have. So we'll have to figure out how that goes, but that's part of whatever committee is going to
Sure.
step up to help with it. I will also ask when I address the staff if there's any staff members that want to be involved with helping plan that and give us
Yeah,
some
it'd be fun.
feedback and things like that. So I know we're over on time. Our next meeting, Wednesday, March 6th, so we're a little less than a month away because we put this one back here in the Petty Library, 6 p.m. Please spread the word because we need volunteers and people to commit. This is our contact us. We've covered all this information and support request form. That's it. Thank you, everyone. If you have anything else, please let me know.